a gathering. I love to take charge, and also be part of that process. And again, I have quite a number of family members who are Scrum Masters. So when it was time for me to transition into tech, I just knew it had to be the Scrum Master role, right? My transition wasn't overnight. It wasn't an easy journey. Despite the fact that I have this community around me already who I could always lean back to, but it wasn't an easy journey. So I took time to learn, get to know about agile methodologies, the Scrum framework, especially, you know. And again, because I already have people who are performing in this role, it was easy to get answers to my questions very quickly. So it wasn't like I was having to research and research and research before I could get answers to some of the questions that I had. So that was how I started my journey. And with the help of my community, they would always send links for trainings, workshops, I just kept upskilling and updating myself. Yeah, so that's how the journey actually started.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Lois. Thank you for that in-depth and inspiring explanation. So my second question is, what challenges did you face at the beginning and how did you overcome them?
All right. So the very first one I would say would be imposter syndrome. When you have prepared so much for something and you're ready but not ready. That was how it felt when I first started, after all the preparations, the research, the trainings, so when it came to put into practice everything that I had been learning, I started second guessing myself. It was a problem for me, but with the support of the community that I already had, and then again, I had to build up my confidence. I was able to overcome that. Another thing that I would say, another challenge that I faced was resistance from the team. It's always a big challenge when you have to, you know, when you have to introduce a change, you know, to a team or to someone that is already to someone that is already set in his or her ways, it's always very, very difficult. So when I started, it was very difficult getting the team to accept me as one of them. It was really challenging getting them to even consider the changes I was bringing, because what they considered as normal, it was very difficult for them to deviate from that path. So one of the challenges I faced was resistance from the team, but I overcame that with a lot of patience and consistency. I was very patient with them. I was willing to take feedback from them, you know, and that really helped, because after every meeting, in my first role as a Scrum Master, after every meeting, I would reach out personally to my team members to ask them, what they think about the meeting we just had. I would take feedback from them. And I was also open to letting them know that I'm new on the job and this was my first role, So that really helped. That was one of the ways that I was able to overcome. There was an incident where I was asked for a report, and this is a report that I had never done. It was new, and I didn't even have a clue as to how to get it done. I had reached out to a couple of people on the team, and I met a barrier. But one of the mornings we're having a daily scrum, one of them noticed and he asked why I was sounding very low. And I said, oh, there's this report I have to turn in before the close of business and I don't know how to go about it. Oh, he was like, okay, can we get on a call after this meeting or when you're less busy? I can help you out with that. That was a turning moment for me, because what that did was, it showed the other members of the team that I mean, someone is there, someone is willing to help, and is willing to accept me as a part of the team. So they all realize that I'm not the enemy here. We're all working for the same goal. So that actually, that moment helped turn things around for me on that project, because after that time, I could reach out to them and they were willing to help and all of that. So that was how I overcome the two major challenges that I had when I started off as Scrum Master.
Okay, thank you, Mar. Thank you so much. So my next question, this is an interesting question, and I know many people always love to hear about this question. So how did you land your first Scrum Master job?
Okay. I said earlier that I already had a community. My elder brother is a Scrum Master and the product owner. My immediate younger sister is a project manager and a Scrum Master. My sister-in-law is a project manager and a Scrum Master. And I have a couple of friends who are already, Scrum Masters at the time. So while I was upskilling, I was also telling them to look out for entry-level roles or junior Scrum Master roles that I was willing to, apply. So my brother reached out to me at some point and said that one of his friends just got a project, and he doesn't have a big budget. He wants someone that can help manage that particular project. In my mind, I was like, you want someone? How? This is someone now. Someone is here. So I told him to send my CV to his friend, because I would have been willing to do it without any pay, because I was eager to put into practice most of the things that I've been learning. So it wasn't even about the pay for me at that time. And then I told him. So his friend reached out, and I did the interview. I leveraged on my transferable skills. I have a background in mass communication, and I had worked in business development. So I was able to highlight my stakeholder management skill, problem solving skill, and also my facilitating skills. So he was quite impressed, and that was how I got my job. Now, I always say to everyone, that's my experience. It doesn't have to be your own experience. Yours could be different. So I advise that, first of all, you join a community. It's very important. There are so many communities out there that you could join and be a part of, and you could benefit from. Attend workshops and seminars like this ones. Forums like this are also very beneficial. You could learn a lot from forums like this. And one-on-one mentorship is also one thing I always advocate for. And that is one of the things that really helped me. You know, I have people that I could reach out to, people that I could talk to, when I have a problem, people that could hold my hands and walk me through whatever situation that I'm in. So it's very important to have one-on-one mentorship. And that way you're able to practice not everything that you've learned. You're able to put that in practice, even if you don't have a role yet, you haven't gotten the job yet. You could start by volunteering, volunteer in church, volunteer on the groups that you're in. Just be at the forefront, be seen wherever it is that you anchor. Make sure that you're seen, you're known. Guess who will be called upon when there's a job opportunity? That will be you. Yes, that person that is in everyone's faces. That's who they'll be reaching out to. So it's very important that you join a community, a part of a community, and then you're also intentional about your networking. Don't just sit there and think, oh, everything is going to work out just like that. You have to put in the effort too. So those are the things that I recommend on how to land your first job as Scrum Master.
Beautiful, beautiful. So my next question is, what does a day in the life of a Scrum Master typically looks like?
Okay. I always say that no 2 days are the same. No 2 days are the same. I mean, your experience yesterday would most likely not be your experience today. So generally, I start by running my daily scrum. I have 3 daily scrums that I run every day. I have one from 9 to 9:15, from 9:30 to 9:45, from 10 to 10:15. Um, so after my morning, my daily scrum in the morning, I catch up on my emails. You want to respond to emails that you have pending from previous day and the morning of that day. Then I switch to meeting mode. I catch up with my developers. I sync with them. I also sync with stakeholders. In my own case, internal stakeholders, because my organization has a project management office. So they are the ones that relate with the external stakeholders in most cases. So I sync with my internal stakeholders. And then if I have like UATs, demo, anything that I can fit into that time. So that's what I do till the close of business, right? I also take time, sometimes you want to also catch up with your developers, get to know them well. I mean, have an insight as to what they do. And when you're syncing with your developers, you also have to remove the blockers that you had taken down during the daily scrum. That's also very important so that, you're sure that they would meet the stipulated timeline for their tasks and projects.
All right, Miss Lois, thank you so much. What are the top three skills every aspiring Scrum Master must have?
All right. The top three skills. I mean, you need quite a number of them, but the top three would be first on my list of emotional intelligence, and the reason is you you need to sense the team's mood most times, so you know when to step in or to step back. Okay, let me give context to what I just said. So most times you're facilitating a meeting, either with your team or with a bigger team. Now, you need to know when to step in when there's an argument. Like I always tell people, sometimes arguments can be healthy, and sometimes it could escalate to something else. So, as a Scrum Master, you need to know. You need to know when to step in and when to step back and allow things play out. So, secondly, I would say facilitation. As a Scrum Master, facilitating meetings is a very big part of the job. That is essentially what you do for the good part of your time. You're facilitating meetings. So that is one skill that is very important to your role as a Scrum Master. Thirdly is problem solving. Now, because you're constantly dealing with people and processes, there will always be challenges. So you need to think on your feet. It's very crucial that you think of resolutions on your feet. Anything can pop up at any time. You can be here 1 minute chilling, feeling like, oh, everything is going well. Today, there's no issues, today is going well. And all of it, boom, something just pops up from somewhere. And then you need to make like a quick decision to turn that situation around. So there will always be cases like that. So problem solving skill is also one of the important skills that I recommend that a Scrum Master should have.
All right, thank you, ma'am. So,
I don't know if it's my network. Tosin, I can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
Okay, it's better. Yes, it is better.
Okay. All right. So I asked you if what certifications or courses helped you most in your journey as a Scrum Master.
Can you come again, please? I didn't get that. Tosin.
Okay, what certifications or courses help you the most in your journey as a Scrum Master?
Okay. So I am PSM, CSM, and SAFe certified. But I would recommend, I don't recommend that you take all three certifications. That would be an overkill. So I recommend you do the PSM certification because that was the first that I did, and it gave me a solid foundation. You know, beyond that, also look out for trainings, agile coaching, hands-on workshops, seminars, like I mentioned earlier, would also help you in your journey. And just just one certification will do. And I would also encourage encourage you to, okay, I will not encourage that you chase after certifications because that's what a lot of people tend to do, you know. Even though I know that for people outside the country, people abroad, the more certification you have, the more you stand the chance of getting it. But over here, your PSM is good enough for you. And that's like the most basic one that you need. Once you're PSM certified, you're good to go as a Scrum Master, right? And while you're at it, you don't neglect other like seminars like this and workshops, trainings, and all of that. Those will also help very well. And once you're done with your trainings and all, don't stop at that. Please go further to practice most of the things that you learn. You don't have to wait until you get a job, you get a Scrum Master role before you start practicing. You know, that's why it's important to be part of a community. Once you're part of a community, there are always mock projects that you could also be part of that will help you hone your skills even before you get your role. Yes. Thank you, Tosin.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am. So I would like to ask, how do you measure success?
Okay, so success for me as a Scrum Master will be when my team becomes more self-organizing. When communication is better, blockers get removed faster, and our stakeholders are generally happy that project timelines are being met, and things are moving smoothly. That for me is success. And again, I also pay attention to my team velocity, the amount of work that my team does, the amount of work they can take, and the amount of work that they deliver at every point in time. For me, that is also progress. So when when I coach my team to maturity, when I know that my team, even when I'm there, they can self-organize and be fine, that's for me success. Yes.
All right, thank you. That is much better. So for people who would like to know, can someone become a Scrum Master without a tech background?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it helps to understand all the tech lingos and all the terminologies. The core of the Scrum Master role is about the people, the process, and facilitation. No coding required at all. At all. That's the core of the Scrum Master role. The people, the process, and facilitation. You don't need to have any background in tech, or you don't actually require any coding knowledge. I've been doing this for some time, and I didn't have much of coding knowledge, right? So even if I've seen HR executives, I've seen teachers. In fact, most recently, I've heard of someone who studied food and nutrition and is doing well as a Scrum Master right now. So it's not, you don't necessarily have to have a background in tech for you to be able to transition to tech. No, you don't. You just have to be open to learn and adapt. The opportunity is just there to take once you're open to learning and adapting. That's what I would say.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. So, what industries are currently hiring Scrum Masters the most?
Okay, so we all know that tech is in the forefront of hiring Scrum Masters, you know, help tech, fintech, software development companies, But recently, no, I would not say in past 2 years, non-tech companies have also started adapting to agile. They started embracing agile. So you see telecoms, logistics, and some American and European companies, the American and European governments have also embraced um, the agile methodology. So what this means is that there are more opportunities beyond what we used to know as tech bro, tech sis, beyond all that tech in quotes, high talk. Non-tech companies are hiring now. You would see like a telecommunications, hiring a scrum master. There are roles opening up, scrum master roles opening up there. There are scrum masters opportunities in even education. So as long as it's a field that is open to you know the agile method, the methodology, there would always be a role for scrum masters, which is why this is the best time, to transition, because there are a lot more opportunities right now for scrum masters. So it's not limited to tech companies anymore.
Okay. Thank you for that insight. So, my last question is, what is your advice for someone preparing for interviews as a first-time Scrum Master?
So I would say practice your storytelling. Practice your storytelling. I mean, it would help you to relate your past roles, to the current role that you're transitioning into. It's very, very important to use real life examples, relate things that, the roles that you've played, or roles that jobs that you've worked, that's just highlight skills from those jobs to this new Scrum Master role. Like I always tell everyone, if you've ever been a part of a project, a church project, a wedding project, a building project, any kind of project, actually, I mean, you're a good candidate for the Scrum Master role. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like an experience in a tech company. No. Once you have that and um, your storytelling is on point, you're good to go. And it's very important that you also show, that you're coachable, because a lot of organizations do not want to prioritize, a lot of organizations right now prioritize uh, attitude and potential over years of experience. They want to know that you're coachable. So you also have to show that during your interview. And also, do not forget about your Scrum ceremonies, the Scrum rules, and Agile values. You should also know all of that, because questions will come up around these things. So it's very important that you also know all of that. So, and also research. There are a lot of questions out there. Take mock interview, do mock interview, and if you've been a part of a community, you can reach out to someone to also help you prep for your interview, you know. So that's what I would advise.
Okay, thank you, Ma. So we are done with the Q&A session. And at this point, I would love to hand over to Coach Oladipo.
Thank you very much, Tosin.
You're welcome, Ma. Please, let's just wait for a few minutes for him to.
All right, thank you very much. I was just also trying to get into the call and get my mic on. Thank you very much, for the guest speaker, Madam Lois. It's been wonderful having you here. But host, I guess the people on the call might also have questions to ask. We have kept this call to go for 1 hour, so we could also ask the people to just drop their chats or raise their hand up. Then you can just also call them to ask their questions. And I'm very sure our special guests will be glad to answer those questions. I hope I'm right. But it's been awesome having you here. And yes, please, we can go ahead with the questions. If we do not have questions, then I could just go go with some last comments. Then our guest speaker will also go with some last comments. Then we can end it for the day. But yes, please, we can have everyone on the call. If you do have a question, drop it in the chat. The host will read your question, or you could raise your hand up, and the host would ask you to speak and ask your questions. Thank you very much. Please go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Feel free. Interactive session. Get all you need from our guest speaker as well. Apparently, the host is also someone that has idea about Scrum. So yes, you can all throw it. If you want to throw it to myself, I'm also experienced in this area. So definitely, you have professionals on the call that can give you all the answers that you need. So please, let's go ahead. Over to you, host. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. So please ask your questions, drop them in chat box. We have one question already, but you can keep more coming. So while we are waiting for the other questions to come in, so I would like to ask Mrs. Lois, there's this question in the chat box, and the question is, can you walk me through a successful project you have managed as a Scrum Master?
Oh yes, sir. Thank you, Tosin, and thank you, Osborne. Yes, I got your name correctly. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So I would say on my first project, we're working on no, so on my second project, so we're working on a project. It was an application for a company called I Qualify. What they do is what the application does is to bridge the gap between people that are intending to move to Canada and people that are already in Canada. And also on that app, you have like if you want to apply for a job before you go, if you want to get a house, if you're looking for like a safe area you could be in, essentially that was what the application was meant to do. I don't know if they eventually launched it because I left the project before the launch, right? So typically we have about 5 sprints for that project. We're delivering different features at every point, after every sprint. And, our sprints were in 2 weeks. We had 2 week sprints for the 5 sprints. Okay, so we're delivering like different features at every sprint. So essentially, um, for a sprint, we'll have a sprint planning where we, decide on the implementations that we'll take on. After that, we have daily scrum with the sprint start off, and then developers start working. Then we have a daily scrum where we get the updates, and the developers tell us if there are blockers that could help them, tell me as a Scrum Master if they have blockers, and I work towards removing the blockers so that we can meet timeline for that sprint. And then we had a sprint review, which is also a demo where we demo what we've done, the features that we have built for that sprint. And then after we demo to our stakeholders, then we have a lunch, and then we have retrospective. So during the retrospective, we have our developers, and all members of the team tell us, and that will also include the QA resource, tell us, the things that went well, the things that didn't go so well, and the things that we need to keep doing. So it's just a rinse and repeat kind of thing for the 5 sprints. So we built the application, but I wasn't there for the launch because I left the organization before then. I hope that answers your question, Osborne.
Yes, very well. Thank you very much. So I don't know if others wanted to ask. I have one question on, I don't, let me quickly drop it.
All right. You can go ahead and ask.
Okay, what would you do if the development team frequently skips retrospectives?
Oh, okay. So that was an issue for me, like I said. Retrospectives or daily scrum? Osborne, are you on the call? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening in. Yes, I'm listening in already.
Retrospectives, or because you have one retrospective per sprint, retrospectives or daily scrum? Daily scrum is the one
I
we
think
have.
you mentioned about the
retrospective. That's
duration
after the sprint.
Yes, the duration you spent during that project was about, you did like 5 sprints or so.
Yes.
So I believe that was what you mentioned. So I believe each of the sprint has its own retrospective, where they have to talk about what went well, what did not go well, how they're going to be able to figure out the issue they had in the last sprint, probably moving some
we should keep
feedback.
Doing.
Yeah. So I believe they were like 5 retrospectives. So assuming some of the development team members, some of them skipped that retrospectives. So what did you do if maybe you discovered that like 1 person or 2 or 3 people, maybe not a natural factor, probably somebody fell ill, he was not around and all that, but just they decided not to turn up for that retrospective section.
All
so
right.
What do you think?
All right. So I've never been in that situation before, but what I would do would be to have a meeting with the person to understand why, because we should always work as a team. If you have any grievances, the retrospective is where you let your team members know what they have done wrong or what you didn't like. So first thing I will do is to find out, with that particular person or with the people, their reasons for not showing up for the retrospective. And if they don't show up, at the next retrospective, I would still have a meeting with them to understand why and make them see reasons why it is important for us to work effectively as a team. They have to attend the retrospective. So getting to know the reason why they are being absent will be the starting point. Then addressing whatever issues it is that, is stopping them from really showing up for the retrospective can then be addressed thereafter. I hope that answers your question, Osborne.
Thank you so very much. I don't know, others may have questions to ask, so let me just leave them because I may still ask one or two before we
All
close
right,
out.
please
Thank
go
you.
ahead. Thank you, Osman. Okay.
No, I was saying others may have questions, so let me give them space to ask their questions.
All right. Okay, I get that.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Osman. Thank you, Mrs. Lois. There are no questions currently. Or is anybody here with questions to ask Mrs. Lois, because Osman is ready to take the floor. Okay, so I think Osborne, show your question.
Okay, so my question goes this way: how would you manage, or how do you manage expectations from stakeholders and leadership of maybe a particular project? I know definitely you will not be handling only one project. You could be
Right.
handling, as a Scrum Master, you'll be handling like multiple projects, maybe up
Right.
to like 8 or 10 projects with different
That's not a
development.
normal occurrence, Osborne. But some of us have
You
found
know,
ourselves
you know
in
why I'm asking
organizations
this?
that we have
The
to multitask. Yes.
yes, why I'm asking this question. I'm a professional Scrum Master with a commercial bank in Nigeria.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
I've been a Scrum Master going to like 6 years, 5, 6 years.
Okay.
I'm certified.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to have some of these issues. We don't handle just one project at a time. So
Right.
I handle multiple projects. I handle up to like 10 projects in a stream. 10 projects
Right.
within 7 to 9 months, churning out
Okay.
new projects. And each of
Mm-hmm.
these projects has different stakeholders and leadership.
Right.
So having to face different development teams from different
Mm-hmm.
projects, having multiple Scrum ceremonies, their sprint
Mm-hmm.
planning and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you just discover that how will you even be able to manage these stakeholders and even the leadership? Because
Mm-hmm.
let me be honest to you, there are some stakeholders that you will meet, they have some personal interest in that project.
Right.
And some want to make sure that, especially when it comes to change management and all that, all of us
Right.
will just wake up one day and tell you, no, we don't want these features in this particular application.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, that features were there from the beginning,
And they knew about them.
from the BRD, yes. So
Mm-hmm.
the requirement document, this PID or
Mm-hmm.
whatever name they call it, yeah, the features were there. So when the developers
Indeed.
they were building alongside what they have on the BRD, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, maybe when you are not doing your final sprint review on that project, you say no, they don't want that features. They will bring in another features, even two
Mm-hmm.
or three features to be added to what you currently built. Then the next thing you ask them, okay, can we do a change request on this? They'll tell you no, there's no change request. This is not a new feature, it's something we had in mind, but it was not included in the PR. They'll tell you no, we want this added to whatever you are building. And these questions are coming from stakeholders, or this demand or this request are coming from
Right.
stakeholders. So how do you manage such situation? They don't want to update their BRD, the business requirement document. They don't want to update it with the new features. They want to build what they just given you. They don't want to see it as a change request, and it must be released with maybe a particular version that you guys are building. So as a Scrum Master, how do you manage this leadership?
So
How do you manage that?
that there'll be a problem there. You know why? Because
Yes,
everything needs to be documented, right? Because
yes,
you don't just wake up and decide to change things in that way and then you don't document it. I try as much as possible to ensure that we don't have scope creep. And when situations like this arise, so we regroup, we prioritize, but I insist that there has to be documentation.
yes.
Even
Okay.
if we decide
Sometimes
to
the
take a
business,
picture,
yes, sorry. Sometimes the business will tell you, yes, there's going to be documentation, no problem, but just help us deploy with these features first to production or go live. Then we'll give you documentations. Meaning, as a Scrum Master, you will not be chasing documentation from your PO, or the PO will be chasing documentation. And meanwhile, the project has gone live.
right?
Documentations is incomplete. They'll tell you, don't worry, we'll give you documentations. They give you such a condition. Don't worry, even when you do it formally, like you write an email to them, they will reply you that yes, documentations will be ready. But yeah,
Documentation does not go through risk and compliance in your organization.
it does. The risk
Okay.
and compliance people will tell you, yes, since there is an email, they will say, okay, this email is like a proof that the documentation will be ready. So what you do a follow-up. Make sure that through this your formal communication through email, get that documentation. It's not that they don't bring documentation, like, but what I'm saying, the time
You have to
the
chase them
documentation, thank you. The time
to get the
documentations will come.
documentation.
Yes, the
Okay.
project has gone live.
It's gone live before
Yes.
documentation.
Then during
The
project
beautiful.
review, hold on, during project review, audit will come. They say they will raise exceptions that,
Mm-hmm,
oh, there were no documentations on this project. The
mm-hmm,
business that actually owns that project, if it's an internal
mm-hmm,
business,
mm-hmm,
they will tell you that they provided documentation, right?
mm-hmm.
Definitely they've provided that documentation, but the audit will tell you why was that documentation not provided as at that time the project went
Time.
live. As at that time the project went live, that documentation would have been part of the BRD. The additional features that were requested for would have been part of the BRD, because they will have to go back to check when did this project go live. So maybe the
Okay.
documentation, you see the back and forth I'm trying to talk about. So the
Right.
the audit will tell you, oh, this project went live in January, and we are doing our review in April 2025, same January 2025.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing our review in April, and the documentation came when? Maybe documentation came in March. Finally, you got the documentation. Then they will now raise that exception. Why didn't the documentation come even before the project went live? Even when you tell them this is the email I wrote and all that, they will
Right.
still hang on that exception. You get? So
All
sometimes
right.
the whole things just get rowdy. So I
All
don't know. Let
right.
me let me allow Coach Oladipo to speak. His hand is
Right.
up also.
Okay.
All right,
Kojipo,
thank
please.
you, thank you very much. I love this scenario that I'm hearing, and it's a typical workplace that I sense at a point they've used waterfall, which is the usual project management of doing things. Then all of a sudden they transition into agile, which is Scrum. At a point, I'm suspecting they should even be doing safe, and safe is more like a scaled Scrum framework, which you'll be doing having multiple Scrum teams. So my thought now is, if you do not even have multiple Scrum teams handling all of your projects, then you're overloading your Scrum team with all of these projects I'm hearing, and also overloading the Scrum Master. So at the end of the day, you realize that you're even working till late in the night. But this is the thing: leave your product managers and your product owners to handle most of these BRDs that you're mentioning. As a Scrum Master, it is not in your court to be chasing documentation or last minute changes. Last minute changes, you tell the product people, get the fixes into place. My job as a Scrum Master is to make sure that the team builds what the product owner has given to us. So if the product owner missed that requirement and we went for sprint review to demo and they said we missed out something, then we should be asking the product owner what went wrong. That's where the question mark should be. But let's say the product owner says, okay, I don't think this was added, then that means it was missed. Then we can take it on and factor it into another sprint. And also, we can create phase two and say, okay, we will deploy some new features and improve on the product. But still, I think some of the things you mentioned, changes, BRD, everything, most of this falls in the product hand. But I see you want to also add something to that. Please kindly go ahead.
Thank you very much, Coach Oladipo. Sorry, I'm not bugging you so much with my questions.
That's why we're here on this call.
Now,
But remember,
now,
we have just 6 minutes
I
left
know.
for this call.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So Nigerian factor. or employers factor in Nigeria.
Hmm.
They will employ you as a Scrum Master and at the same time, like a product owner or even a project manager.
I'm
So
sure our
yeah,
guest speaker can also confirm what you just said.
you get so at the end of the day, as a Scrum Master, you are supposed to run through that business requirement document. What is your team building? Do you even understand what the product is all about?
Now I
Any of the
understand what
stakeholders,
you're saying.
any of the yes, any of the stakeholders could call you up anytime, any day. It could be weekend. It could even be when you are in church. Okay, so walk me through this product that you guys are building. What is it all about? What are you trying to achieve? What is the pain point of the business? Especially when you are in automation unit, where you are trying to automate some processes for some internal business, and they're telling you, oh, we do this manually for almost like 15 hours of the day. That's what takes up the whole day. Then you know, it's okay. You want to use UiPath to automate the process for them that will last for like 5-10 minutes. They are done.
I
A
understand
stakeholder,
how you mean.
one of the stakeholders will just call you up. Even when you're in church, sometimes over the weekend, you just say call.
Which is wrong.
Probably.
Which is actually wrong.
Thank you. But
Mr.
employers,
Osborne, which of the
It's
banks do you work
which
with?
is
I'm
it,
curious
no,
to
I'm
know.
not giving you a scenario of my immediate place. I'm giving you a scenario. I've worked as a Scrum Master somewhere before I joined the bank, right? So
okay.
I'm just telling you from my experience.
No,
Right.
let me come in quickly because of
I have
time.
okay,
Let me come in
okay.
quickly because of time. Now the thing is this: as a Scrum Master, one of the toughest things you would ever do in an organization is to stand on restructurizing everything, restructure the whole thing. So if they're not doing it well, then you need to correct, and that's like the toughest thing, especially when you get into an environment that they are not doing it right. Then you end up stepping on a few toes, which sometimes could be uncomfortable. You know, for instance, I've worked in the Nigerian environment. I am currently working in the United Kingdom, and it's quite different. And because here you cannot even call me at 8 p.m. or on a Sunday when I'm going to church. It's wrong. It's not in my contract. By the end of the day, people take all of these things and it becomes the norm. Is wrong. It's totally wrong. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But I understand the context because I have worked in Nigeria as well. I understand. But the thing is, it's just, I always say this, a Scrum Master is like a football coach. Once you bring me in, you brought me in to this football team to make things right so that the football team can be better and we can win matches. The former football coach must have done something wrong. So I'm not going to come and fall on the same template that the Scrum Master before did used to do his work. I'm here to restructure everything so we can be better. So if you're not ready to listen to me, then why did you employ me? That's the question. Because now I'm a new football coach. You cannot now be telling me to bend and now make things bad. But no, I'm here to make things better. So if we see things from this view, it will really help us to understand what a Scrum Master is really supposed to be doing. Think about it from the football coach perspective.
Yes, you are very, very right, Coach Oladipo, sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry
Oladipo.
for pronouncing. Yeah. So as a Scrum Master, let me just give with like my person. I'm someone that I love what I do, right? And if I'm doing it, I put all my heart in whatever I'm doing. It applies to even everything in my life. I make sure that I have a full attention, understand why this thing is this way, and I get to speak it any day, anytime. So where I work before I joined a commercial bank, um, it happens to be a tech firm where we picked contracts or we collected contracts from different pharmaceutical firms and all that, even some retail sectors. So I that's why I actually got all this kind of experience. And I thought I was just being punished. Do you get? But at the end of the day, I discovered that I was actually learning a lot of things that even my staff couldn't even grasp. They couldn't grasp those things. I was open to questions. I was open to so many things, open to so many situations. I acted as even the product owner. I acted as a project manager. I did the job of a scrum master, did it decisively. You get. So at the end of the day, so that's why I am so experienced to the point that I don't think there's anything in Scrum that I feel that will arise even in a new environment or where I'm going to work with years tomorrow, I'm going to work years to come that I haven't seen, unless maybe something very new, especially within this hemisphere, Nigeria. I don't know of other nations. I know other nations will not give that kind of, will not disturb someone over the weekend or even public holidays. But I know that Nigerian factor, employers will want to make sure that they use you to get what they want. I'm not saying employers are bad. What I'm trying to say is that it's an opportunity for any aspiring Scrum Master to actually learn. Very good to learn because when you go through that rigor, you'll be able to learn a lot of things, especially stakeholder management, leadership management, facilitation, like Madam Okereke said earlier, and so many other things. Thank you very much. Sorry, let me not bore people with so many questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Osborne. So we have one question, just one question, and it's from Adejumo Iyanoluwa. It says, please give a distinct difference between a product manager and a Scrum Master. Oh, okay. All right.
Tosin.
Yes, did you get the
Okay,
question,
was the
ma?
question for me? Okay, all right, okay.
Yes, I'm sorry I did that. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So a product manager is the one who actually owns the product vision. That's a product owner, not a project. A product owner is the one who owns the product vision, and he actually creates the roadmap for that product. While a Scrum Master owns the team's process and delivery. So what he does is he ensures that whatever features that the product owner has highlighted are delivered within the agreed time. That's what the Scrum Master does. He oversees that process. I don't know if that answers your question, Yanulu, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Tosin.
All right, thank you, ma. So, in the absence of any other question, or does anybody have any other questions to throw at Mrs. Lois? Okay, in the absence of any other question, I'm going to be handing over to Coach Oladipo for the final remarks and what else he would like to tell us.
All right, thank you very much. Nothing from my end. I guess our guest has said every single thing. So thank you all for joining in. And in case you do have interest in taking up or starting the journey in Scrum, you could just respond to the email address that I've been sending you email to say I want to take this training, and they'll send you the details for the Scrum Master training. There's also going to be a discount for you if you are on this call and registered. Thank you.
All right, so just as the coach mentioned, we'll be having a discount for people interested in taking the training in July. So we would love to have you on that. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you, Mrs. Lois. Thank you for everyone who joined. I'm very sure you gained a very, very good knowledge of Scrum Master. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Coach Deeps. Thank you, Oluwaseun. Thank you to everyone who joined.
All right, bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
All right, bye everyone.